Welcome back to Textbook Toonz. In our last episode, we broke down how intersecting lines form linear pairs. Today, we're stepping back to ask a question that seems simple until you look closer. What actually is a line? When you draw a line with a sharp pencil, it looks like a perfect, solid path. To the naked eye, it's a smooth stroke of graphite across the paper. But zoom in under a microscope, and the perfect line disappears. You see a jagged, uneven carbon trail with actual physical width and height. In geometry, we use a different model called an ideal line. It's a concept that has exactly zero thickness. Because this ideal line has no physical mass, it stretches out forever in both directions. It never ends and never curves. We can't draw a zero-thickness line in the real world, but we need this mental raw material. By using these perfect infinite paths, we can calculate the exact angles needed to build structures that stay standing for centuries. Now that we have our ideal lines, watch what happens when we twist two of them into a very specific intersection. As the lines rotate, they form a perfect symmetrical cross with identical angles. A 360-degree rotation divided by 4 means each sector is exactly 90 degrees. Lines meeting at this exact 90-degree threshold are perpendicular, marked with a small square denoting a right angle. You see these exact 90-degree joints everywhere, in the corners of your textbook, the frame of your door, and the edges of your window. Engineers rely on these intersections to build. Because a perpendicular line stands upright, a building's weight travels straight down to the foundation, preventing buckling. Now, let's look at the opposite extreme. Instead of a perfect intersection, what happens if two lines avoid each other entirely? Imagine two lines on a flat sheet of paper. If you could extend them past your desk and out of the room, and all the way around the globe, would they ever crash into each other? If two straight lines on a flat surface never intersect, no matter how far they extend, they are parallel lines, staying side by side at a fixed distance forever. To show they share the exact same direction on a diagram, we stamp them with matching arrow symbols. You see this in the uniform keys of a piano, the wooden slats of a park bench, or the abstract straight-line shading patterns found in modern artwork. Parallel lines act as reliable support beams. They provide the uniform boundaries we need to keep a layout organized and predictable across long distances. You can create parallel and perpendicular lines with nothing but a square sheet of paper. First, make a vertical fold down the left side. Then move to the right and make a second vertical fold. These two creases are now perfectly parallel. Because they both follow the same vertical path and are separated by a fixed width of paper, they will never meet. Now, take the bottom edge of the paper and fold it straight up, crossing over both of your vertical creases at once. When you unfold the paper, you're left with a clean geometric grid. This grid proves a useful rule. A single horizontal line can be perpendicular to two different parallel lines at the same time. Every intersection here is exactly 90 degrees. This grid logic is a standard tool for organization. We use it to plan city blocks so traffic can move efficiently, and engineers use it to map out the microscopic circuits inside computer chips. You've mastered the two main relationships of geometry: perpendicular joints and parallel beams. Before we finish, the grand mathematician has one more logic puzzle for your chalkboard. Here is the riddle. If line A is parallel to line B, and line B is parallel to line C, what is the geometric relationship between line A and line C? Think about how these lines are positioned on the plane. Share your answer in the comments. Next time, we'll see what happens when a third line cuts across these paths at an angle. See you in episode 3.